Hi, the Lifeline here, and thanks for listening to Leading Your Best Life. Now, today I'm going to talk about a very sensitive subject. I'm talking about men's mental health. I'm talking about suicide. I'm talking about grief. I'm talking about how we deal with it, how do we prevent it, what the hell's going on, and all this about hashtags and a mental health round. Yes, they're nice things to do, but stay tuned. Let's talk about this if you're up for it. Welcome back. It really is a sad day and mixed emotions, because here I am on a Monday morning following the Saturday news that Adam Selwood, the twin brother of Troy Selwood, who died in February, has now passed away at his own hand just at the weekend, and the Eagles had to play on Sunday. They were shattered. So the paper is full of articles around this whole area of men's mental health, and in fact I put it up on Facebook, some of the articles today. As I say, it's full of this Adam Selwood tragedy and the Eagles winning on the back of the energy and the spirit that was created from this terrible, terrible event, and everybody talking about the value of a mental health round. And as I say, everyone knows that a hashtag, the Me Too or whatever, men's mental health or mental health matters, yes, it raises some awareness, and of course they're pushing it to the next level. Let's do a football round. Let's just do the Spud game between Carlton and St Kilda. Let's do something else. It makes us all feel warm and cosy and a bit better. Yes, it raises awareness, and even let's go and ask people, are they okay? But something way more needs to be done. Now, I've been in and around this area of men's mental health, firstly in terms of my own master's thesis way back in, when was that? The early 80s. We're talking about the social psychology in the workplace, the relationship between family, work, leisure, mental well-being, physical well-being, sense of self-worth, all of these areas, plus the area of neuro-linguistic programming. And then, of course, my good mate Neil Cole has been a mental advocate, and he's an associate professor at Melbourne University in this area. The work with Peter Simons and Dr. Clyde Jameau in the area of brain fuel depletion, our Blokes Talk Beachside project, where we get blokes together on a regular basis, literally talking about their mental well-being, which the vast majority, up to 80%, have never done with anyone ever. And of course, Paul Litvin with Men's Talk here in WA, doing the same thing, getting guys down the beach. And as you said, so often the GP can only spend about 7 minutes to talk about mental health, because that's their average consultation time. Paul spends up to 2.5 hours or more with people, because again, the average psychiatrist or psychologist can only spend an hour. Sometimes it's not enough, and what depth it can get to, but that's a whole other story. There's a lot that needs to be done, and here we have the Adam Selwood tragedy. Here's a guy, a legend at West Coast Football Club, a legendary family, and now two of the brothers have committed suicide. It's just tragic, sad, outrageous. What the hell is going on? We know that up to 80% of suicides are men. What is going on, and why isn't it that something else can be done? So as my good mate Neil Cole said, what has to happen is we've actually got to do more than just ask, are you okay? Because as again, I was talking to another fellow who has been well and truly in the armed forces and works a lot with veterans with PTSD. He said, are you okay? Most blokes go, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine. In fact, there was a comedy the other day, Bill Byrne, the American comedian, talking about blokes and men in particular, going, I'm either fine or I'm angry. Fine, angry, there's no in between. And of course, the fact is there's a lot in between. It's called emotion. And again, my podcast with Bryn Edwards only a couple of weeks ago, where Bryn says this is not a mental health crisis, it's an emotional health crisis, because guys do not know how to handle their emotions or have processed the emotions, or get to the point, as Peter Simons would say, where they're on the slippery slope, they're having suicidal thoughts. Well, by this stage, the brain and its neurotransmitters are not functioning very well at all, and so we're having very illogical, highly emotional, almost explosive, impulsive thoughts. And as my good mate Neil Cole said, medication doesn't work for everybody. So as Neil said, some of the priorities need to be research into both what works in terms of prevention, early intervention, early help in terms of what works, and at the same time, what needs to be done for people who do not respond to medication. when it doesn't work? What are the answers, the practical, science-based, proven strategies for both prevention and intervention and treatment of people who've got a mental health problem? What does that actually mean? It means, does it mean I'm thinking of committing suicide? Does it mean I'm feeling down? Does it mean I'm feeling low? And who do I talk to? And by the way, what we know is, you've got to go to see your GP. The GP may spend 7 or 10 minutes with you, may refer you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Psychologists, what we know, there's a massive waiting time. So what happens in that intervening time from when the person's feeling shitty, low, upset, sad, possibly even, I shouldn't be here, who do they talk to? Well, again, that's where Paul Litvin and Men's talk, and there's a whole range of other groups, Lifeline and some of these others. Pick up the phone, mate, pick up the phone. I'm feeling shitty, I'm feeling low. What we've got to do is not only destigmatise this and say to blokes, hey, listen, drop the act, mate, drop the act. If you're not feeling well, if you've been thinking about some of these thoughts for more than a day or so, talk to someone, do something about it. It's okay, because we want you around. You are too important, whether it be to your kids, your grandkids, your friends. As someone said the other day, in fact, a guy who responded to me this morning said, I'd rather take a phone call at 12 at night or 2 in the morning than attend your funeral. So come on, you're too important, and this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Literally, I'm having coffee with a guy on Friday who is on medication and been through a whole lot of stuff, but he knows this too shall pass. And of course, the reason why should I hang around? The big why, talking of the Eagles winning and the Dockers winning, they had a big why, purpose. Why hang around? Why be here for your grandkids, your kids, your health, your daughter's wedding, your son's wedding, next Christmas? Find a reason why. You've got to not only destigmatise, but resilience building, and then mindfulness training. That's where yoga and breathing comes in, because, mate, and not only that, forget even yoga and breathing. Coffee, if you're winding yourself up with coffee, you're winding yourself up with cigarettes, you're winding yourself up, even worse, numbing and dumbing with alcohol, mate. Alcohol will help you be numb for a short while, but it's only numbing the pain today. You've got to do other things, non-alcohol based activity, to actually help clear the mind. And that's where we talk about internal and external ecosystem. Internal, what the hell are you putting in your gob? Not only what are you putting in your gob in terms of coffee, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, spirits, beer, wine, what are you putting in your head in terms of thoughts? Maybe catch some of those thoughts and just challenge some of those thoughts. It's where cognitive behaviour therapy is quite useful. Is that thought true? It's true for you? Or is it an empowering thought? Yeah, I shouldn't be here. No one wants me. No one loves me. That person rejected me. No one will go out with me. I've got no one to be with. Well, keep dwelling on it. It's not helpful. Who can you call? Call someone. Call Lifeline. Look up on the internet. There are lines, there are phone calls you can make. Make a call to someone and say, I'm feeling shitty, I'm feeling low, I'm feeling dark, I'm having bad or even suicidal thoughts. Your internal ecosystem in terms of both the chemicals but also your thoughts, this too shall pass. And then the external ecosystem. Who are you hanging around? What people are you hanging around? Are you hanging around positive people? Have you been down the beach lately? Have you been for a walk with your feet in the sand? Have you been sat on some grass? Have you sat with your grandkids or your kids recently and just sat and talked? Have you held someone's hand? Have you had a hug with someone? All of these things make a difference. And what we do know is the number of social connections that you have, as in the morning. In my case, I go to Pod Squad. I probably have connections with between 10 and 50 people in the morning. Even this morning when I didn't go to Pod Squad, I go down to the beach, I bump into a person I knew as they were walking out of the gym. I saw Penny, and then I go down the beach, I see someone. As I walked out, then I ring someone, and even then at the coffee shop, I got the hot chocolate off. social connections. As I say, in the recent podcast with Bryn Edwards, he said this is not a mental health crisis, it's an emotional health crisis. I also looked then again at the whole area of neuro-linguistic programming and could talk about state management, emotional state management. And what we know with NLP is when we look at the whole communication model, that what happens is there's things that happen in the external world, but you take them in and then you put them through filters. And again, if you're feeling low, you're putting them through negative self-talk filters, low self-esteem filters, self-sabotage filters. You delete, you start to cut out all those things that are good and only look at the bad. You had a good week. In my case, great Saturday and Sunday with the grandkids. My one grandson stayed over. We had a great, some pasta sitting on the beach. He got some fairy floss. We had a laugh about that's one of the book that I read him to before he went to sleep. I had 2 training sessions, Sunday water polo in the morning and Sunday in the afternoon, had a beer with the boys, and then we'd come home, had a pizza, watched a good TV show. Like, focus on the positive rather than whatever the negatives are that are going on in my life. We can choose where do we shine the light, because in NLP, state is what are you focusing on? I'm either focusing on the positive or the negative. Also breathing. Taking in deep breaths and make all the difference. This person was very angry at one of our Blokes Talk Beachside, said, "What, you actually think that doing some breathing and some meditation is going to help me?" Yeah, well, it's not going to help in terms of, as it worked out in this person's case, is he going to win a court case against his wife, or did it give him access to kids? I don't know. That's the stimulus, but your response. We may not control the stimulus, but we can control the response. As I think it's Viktor Frankl talked about that gap between stimulus and response. Do not let the stimulus upset your internal world. Stand proudly guard at the gateway of your internal world. Do not let it upset your bliss. Work on internal bliss. So part of all of this today got me thinking. One, I came across an article on 7 steps to building self-esteem, 7 steps to bouncing back from how you feel. So take a look at this. I might put the link in the subscription here, the description. 7-step self-esteem builder using NLP. I thought it was very good. The self-esteem builder exercise is designed to provide you with a boost of confidence when you need it most. It's especially of value if you lack the confidence you need to achieve a desired outcome. As Maxwell Maltz said, the writer of this, the plastic surgeon who wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics, low self-esteem is like driving through life with your handbrake on. Low self-esteem is like driving through life with your handbrake on. So this is for me as much as it is for you, mate. I'm learning this as I go on my journey to continue to work on myself, to keep helping me lead my best life and, move away from dark thoughts at times, when things aren't working out the way I want. I want more clients, or I want more money, or I want to have more licensees, or this isn't working, or that website's not working. You can start to dwell on these things. And of course, NLP calls it stack one problem on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. And all of a sudden you think, you're like bloody Atlas carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Well, what you've really done is you've put all those weights on as distinct from one problem's in one box, which is next to one problem in another box, which is next to one problem in another box, which is next to one problem in another box. They're next to each other, and I'll work my way systematically through the problems. And some of them, in fact, will disappear just because they're not that important anyway. So the purpose of the exercise builds self-esteem, because self-esteem and self-confidence is such a fantastic platform. As Sadhguru says, your emotional platform, your self-esteem platform. It's part of, in my thesis, where we looked at the lifestyle life graph, the relationship between family, work, and leisure. Family as a social support system, work as a social support system, leisure as a social support system, and knowing full well, and again in some of these cases where a person loses their job or loses their football career, that part of their life's over, all of their identity, all of the air, all of the buoyancy, all of the joy, all of the juice in their life was from only one section, football career or cricket career or soccer career or work career like one of the fellows at Blokes Talk Beachside. And when that was gone, well, who the hell am I? Where do I get my air to stay afloat? And that's why we talk about lifestyle architecture, where you build family and close friends relationships, build leisure skills and leisure relationships, be it a club, pod squad, volunteering, charity work. Where was it the other day? My good friends John and Pam O'Connell, they're in their 90s. John O'Connell played for Geelong, but they are there every Monday volunteering at Claremont Football Club. They're there on a Thursday having coffees with family and friends. They're there on a Sunday. There's regular rituals in which they are with other people, making social connection in terms of family and leisure skills. They wouldn't have worked for 20 or 30 years, but their air, what keeps them alive, much keeps them afloat in terms of mental health and physical health, mind, body, spirit, energetic health, is that social support system, the football club, the volunteering, the family rituals, the grandkids. So they've designed it. They've made it happen. They haven't laid in bed hoping it happens. They've made a point of getting out, getting in the car, going and being with other people, not being alone. I actually started to put together what would a holistic psychosocial lifestyle audit look like with action plan based on the Rappaport lifestyle model of family, work and leisure. So I started working on that today. It includes things like emotional intelligence, rumination, stress load, internal chemistry, and so on. It's a self-assessment I'm putting together. You want to get a copy of it, touch base with me. Everything from family and social support. I feel emotionally connected to family and close friends, or not. And we do it on a scale of 1 to 7. 1, very poor. 7, excellent. I feel I belong and matter in my support network. I reach out and receive support when I'm mentally struggling. Work and meaningful relationship, or meaningful engagement. I feel my work aligns with my strengths and values. Basically, I get juice out of my work versus I don't have work, I don't have purpose, I don't have meaning. Therefore, I need leisure. What are my leisure skills? I spend time in nature, movement, or creative pursuits. I practice mindfulness or moments of present focused awareness. In other words, I do meditation, I do breathing. What about my emotional intelligence and thought patterns? I manage emotional upsets without feeling overwhelmed. Not always. I'm kind to myself during emotionally difficult times. Not always. I can pause and respond thoughtfully under stress. Sometimes. So, stress and internal chemistry load. I'm currently dealing with one or more life stresses: grief, divorce, job loss. Yeah, sure. Again, obviously the Selwoods were doing that. So it goes on. If you want to get copies of this is a tool to help you start to take a look at your life, particularly in regard to family, work, leisure, and grieving and life stress events, and then gives action plan recommendations. If you score low on family and social support, what should you do? If you score low on work and meaningful engagement, what should you do? If you score low on leisure and life outside of work, what you should do? If you score low on emotional intelligence or stress load. And then, of course, if you're scoring super low, then urgent medical health support. Tell someone immediately, a friend, a family member, a coach, a teacher, a trusted adult. Mate, I'm feeling shitty. I'm having these terrible thoughts. I need to talk to someone about it. I need to take action. Contact local suicide prevention hotlines or mental health support services like Lifeline or Beyond Blue. Seek out a licensed therapist, a psychologist or GP. But know this, you are not alone. Help is available and we want you around. Reaching out is a strength, not a weakness. So I hope this has brought some value to you today, knowing this is a super serious topic. They were often avoided, but really based on what's happened over the weekend, it's in all the newspapers here, particularly in Perth and probably all over Melbourne. It's very, very sad when people feel a hole in their life, like Adam Selwood said, in fact, as he said at his brother's funeral, which really is a clue straight away. Adam declared writing the eulogy was the hardest thing he'd ever had to do. Having an identical twin quote, is both a rare privilege and a wonderfully complex, Adam said in his eulogy for Troy. A twin is more than a sibling. They're a constant presence, a built-in best mate, and someone who understands you in a way no one ever could. Troy wasn't just my brother, he was my mirror, my fiercest competitor, my greatest ally, and the one person that knew what I was always thinking. Losing him has left a massive hole in my life. Well, he said that back in February. Here we are in May, and he's now gone too. Folks, if you feel like this at all, do talk to someone. You are not alone. You are wanted. You are needed. I'll never forget, I think, from the Jonathan Livingston Seagull, if your mission in life, if you're still alive, then your mission in life is not completed. Stay here, continue to evolve, learn, go through the upset, go through the pain, go through the hero's journey. On the other side, there is a brighter day. There is a brighter day. There is a brighter day. You are loved. You are needed. Breathe. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Plan and envisage a brighter day and brighter moments. Plan and envisage brighter day, brighter moments, and bathe in gratitude. What are some of the good things that have happened last week, last month, last year, the last 10 years? Have a gratitude book, a journal book. We want you around. Thanks for listening. I'm Lee Farnell. I want to help you and your family and your loved ones lead your best life. I'll see you next time.